Hello and welcome to the Esteemed Gentleman Podcast, episode number 2. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Labrie, and alongside me, as always, we have writer, director, old Uncle Teabag himself, Tyler Sunt.
Hello.
Hello. And then we have, as well, he has been rickrolling before Al Gore even invented the internet. We have Eric Deshane.
Hello.
I tried to come up with new intros for you guys, and I just literally spent like 2 to 3 days, and I couldn't come up with anything. I was gonna do a reference to the Three Ninjas, and say who is who. You're Tum Tum.
Yep.
I was gonna say I was Tum Tum, but
Good call. Yeah, I guess. Well,
I don't know.
Cold.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't know if the reference would have gone over you guys' head, but
God, no.
glad to see.
It would. I'd be like, I want to be Haru, the Great White Ninja. I'll be Haru.
There we go. So today we're going to be talking about our favorite movies of all time, our top 5, we'll say. But first, it's been quite the week. Let's start with Tyler. What's new with you, man?
Not much. I had the weekend off, so it was really nice. Got to spend some time at home and clean up and binge some good old classic movies, some Spider-Man movies, Homecoming, and the new one, Far From Home. Excellent movie. It's the first time I actually watched it, so that's what I did most of the weekend, watching movies and TV shows, and that's about it.
And what did you think of this is your first time seeing those Spider-Man movies?
I saw Homecoming already before. I think that was with you at the theater. I saw Homecoming.
Yeah,
I believe a while ago. Yeah, and then I wanted to watch it with Carly because I knew she hadn't seen it, and so that I could watch Far From Home with her as well and experience that with her. But I really enjoyed watching Homecoming with her again, just because of the twist.
Oh yeah,
halfway through or 3/4 of the way through. If anybody hasn't seen it, I won't give any spoilers. But man, I just her heart sank. She had her mouth open for about 10 minutes when that part came on. I'm just staring at her. She's like, "Why are you staring at me?" I'm like, "Nothing, I'm just waiting." And then the doorbell rings, it opens up, and I'm just like, he's like, "Oh no way!" It was so good. It was so good. And then we watched Far From Home, and we both really enjoyed that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
Very good. And what were your thoughts on Far From Home? Was that because it kind of also had a little bit of a twist, but maybe that what you kind of saw coming, I guess. But
kind of. I was like, man, this is really end of the world stuff, pretty apocalyptic. You know, they beat the big monster, and I'm like, well, that seemed too easy. I know that Mysterio, I think, in the comics, from what I remember, is a villain, I think. And I'm like, I'm just waiting to see what the whole scheme is that he's working on. And then once the thing's revealed, I'm just like, oh, you greasy fucking bastard.
Poor Peter, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Yeah, poor Peter. That's what Carly had said. Even in Homecoming, in this one, he just goes through the most challenges out of all of them. Mostly, I think, the most emotional challenges through everything. And he's just like a little teenage boy too. So it's just can't even imagine. He can barely get through high school without being emotional. And he's got to go through all this betrayal.
Yeah, no kidding.
Holy man, poor guy. Just feeling for him. But it was awesome, excellent. And I love Buddy and his relationship with the family there. It's so fucking funny. Happy. Yeah, not Buddy. Not Buddy. Happy. Right. Yeah. I'm thinking of Ozark again. Buddy. Yes.
He's in that too?
No, Buddy, the name Buddy. I just,
okay.
Buddy and Happy. I don't know why I get those two mixed up all the time. They're nothing to do with each other.
There you go. Play anything or anything, or just
no, didn't really play anything. I had a video chat with some girlfriends of mine, long childhood friends, the girls I usually hang out with. We had an online chat for the first time in a while, and we had some drinks. Actually, funny story, if you guys got the time. We were sitting
got nothing but time.
Oh, this is perfect. So we were playing on Backyard. I don't know what I think that's what it was called, backyard.co. It's where you can video and voice chat and play games together all on the same thing. It's all kind of tied together, so you can play games guess the word, and it's like a Pictionary style game, and then there's a Cards Against Humanity game that you can kind of play. So Carly came down here. We have our computer set up next to each other, and she was playing her Sims, which she's addicted to. It's like crack for her. And she was playing that, and then she looked over, and I was chatting with the girls, and then I was like, "Do you want to play?" And then the girl's like, "Yeah, come play." So we're playing, and then they were drinking, and I'm like, she's like, I can't drink. I got to take care of Leia tomorrow. You can drink though. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to have a drink. She's like, okay, bring down a glass for me. So we had some wine. some leftover wine.
Yeah.
And then she drank a glass. And then by the time I was done my glass, I turned around and she was on the second bottle of her own second bottle. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? What is going? And she's like, it just tastes really good. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So I had another glass. I turned around, 3 bottles. She was done.
Oh,
And then she had a Radler. She was drinking a Radler after to kind of tame it off. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. So she kind of went hard for about 4 or 5 hours. And then I was looking at her. Her eyes were starting to wander. And I knew that she was going to be hitting the toilet here. So I'm like, oh my God. She just like went totally against what she wanted to do. So then got ready for bed. I laid down. She came to bed. And then she's laying there. And about 5 minutes later, she's like, yep, I think I'm going to go vomit. You want to go get the bucket for me downstairs? I'm like, really? She got up, and we have a bathroom upstairs, thank God, and she just ralphed almost for like an hour straight. And then the next morning, she got up, and she ralphed again, and went back to bed, stayed in bed till about 3:30, 4 in the afternoon. Yeah. I'm like, so much for keeping a clear head there for the day, but it was really fun, though. It was fun. Fun 5 hours.
Yeah.
Ruined the whole next day, but usually I do that, but it was kind of different.
Yeah, you know what? Like, it's
Very
crazy.
nice.
Like, I can't even remember last time. Like, I had, well, I guess have an alcoholic beverage, but like got drunk. I have no idea. It's been literally months. I have no idea when, whatever last party. I was gonna say last party we had, but that was
Halloween?
Party was
like the Halloween Thanksgiving thing that we did, and like after
that's
supper,
right, too.
everybody was just like passed out and a zombie after that. So I didn't even get drunk during that. So it was like even before then, probably like not since the summertime, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say so. Because like you said, we were all feeling pretty good at the start there, and then we ate supper, and then we all sat around watching movies, all dressed up with like, so what are we doing now?
I'm just sitting there as Walter, just
Yeah. That was awesome costume. That was awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Well, what about you, Eric? How was your week there?
This week was not bad. Busy at work and whatever else. And this weekend was quiet. Stayed here in the house. Caught up with my Letterkenny. That for a bit and enjoyed that. And
Letterkenny.
yeah, it just took it easy.
So you
Nothing really exciting as Tyler, that's for sure.
That was just a random thing. That wasn't even supposed to happen. It was just supposed to be another boring weekend at home. But oh boy, what a turn of events that was.
Mine was a lot more low key than that.
How many seasons of Letterkenny are they on now?
This was number 8, I think it was 8 or 7.
Shit!
It was.
Oh
but
my
only seasons
God.
like 6 or 7 episodes a season. So
Oh,
that's the
okay.
thing, yeah. They usually release 2 a year. That's why it came out 4 years ago. That's why I think
They released what 2 years?
2 seasons, two
seasons
a year. Like one's a summer season and one's a winter season kind of thing. There, so
okay.
that's why there's 8. Maybe enough.
I was like 2 episodes a year. I'm like, what is this? Like
Sorry, 2
BBC's
seasons.
Sherlock or something?
Right. Yeah.
It's a movie every year.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time I see commercials for that, it's like this does look funny, but also I don't know if it would be my thing.
I really enjoy it because it's a lot of like farm humor, like small town farm humor, and it just connects so much.
It's
I
like
laugh my ass off.
a way more vulgar corner gas.
Yeah.
Right. It's just
It's
so
bad.
goofy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really watched like any actual episodes all the way through. I start watching one and they just sit there and they just like come up with witty humor. Like they go like 100 miles a second, and it's just like joke overlaid with another joke with another joke with another joke, and it's like you don't even have time to appreciate the first one. It's like I know what they're doing and it's very smartly written, like really smart. But I don't know. It's too much. I'm like, I'm not blowing out the capacity for this. I appreciate what they're doing, and it's totally Canadian humor, like
absolutely, yeah.
like Saskatchewan farmer hockey player
The hockey player
humor,
one.
but maybe that's why I don't like it.
Yeah. I like it too. That's all.
All the hockey humor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That was it.
No video games, nothing like that either.
More Fallout 4. That's kind of it.
Nice.
Fallout 4, Titanfall 2. My usual go-tos. I
Titanfall.
just kept it low key. Last few weekends have all been like Christmas, New Year's, New something.
Just to chill out, kind of
quiet and chill. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait till that changes. If it ever changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. There's this thing that I saw that it's like a calculator to kind of find out when you're supposed to get the vaccine. It's like 5 questions or whatever. And then, yeah, it's like, might not be till like June or in the fall or something like that. It's like, oh man.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
they'll be releasing like a few 100,000 every time and every few months.
right. And of course it goes to, people at risk and frontline workers and all that other stuff, right? So
right.
Yeah.
It'll be a while before we get that.
For sure.
Yeah, probably.
Eric, you want to turn your mic up a little bit more?
Sure. I'll try.
There we go. That sounds pretty good.
All right.
And yeah, I mean, I had a pretty similar week. It was pretty chill. Like, I didn't really play any games, which is kind of weird. Like, I thought I would have played Ghost of Tsushima a lot more, but for some reason, I don't know why, I watched 3 different seasons of 3 different animes this week.
Like random seasons, or
no? Well, like the first season of each
okay.
one. So like, yeah. So the first one I watched. This is gonna be like my anime corner. It's gonna be really nerdy for like the next little while. But the first one I watched was called Prison School. And
I've heard of that one.
Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of that one.
It was so fucking weird, but also like really funny too, and like borderline hentai the whole time too.
Yeah, not vulgar. What's the word I want to think here? It's a little risque and.
Oh yeah, like there's like legit shots of like women bending over and like their thong is like parted to the side. It's like you could see like their vagina lips. It's like, how does this even the show? Like,
is this on Crunchyroll?
I think it is. Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
And I was
mainstream anime. Like, how did they get away with it?
It's so funny that I think like maybe later on down the line, like it'd be fun to do like a reaction of that and like get you guys to watch that since you've never seen it before.
I know of it. I never watched an episode. I just know of it, and it's
yeah. But for the people at home, the basic premise of it is it's like this all girls high school. For the first time ever, they're allowing like boys to attend, and they'll only let in 5 boys, and like they're 5 like super nerdy perverted guys on like they're literally their first night there. They like try and like peep at the girls in their dorms in the bath and stuff like that, and they end up getting caught, and there's like a literal prison on the campus that is run by the student council. So they're in the prison for a month, and if they like try to break out and they get caught, it would be like an extra month, and if they break out a couple more times, eventually they can get expelled.
Interesting.
But the weird thing is like the main character, he like gets into a relationship with this one girl in his class before they go to prison, and she thinks he's a good guy, and they want to go on a date, but it's like, well, he has to break out of prison to go on this date, and one of the other guys who's like this huge nerd, big anime fan, that Kotaku kind of guy, he like helps him break out because he wants him to get him this anime figure that's only available every like 3 years or something like that. So one of the funniest moments was they like tried to get a sound effect because they're like to cover for him being out of the school. It's like, oh, he's in the bathroom, he's sick. So they're like, we're going to the computer lab, and they're gonna download like some pooping sound effects, but they couldn't get like it to hook up to the computer properly. So like they're in the middle of this like computer lab class, and he's like, I have to do it. And then like they start playing all this epic music. He's like, I have to sacrifice my high school years. He's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And he ends up just like standing up and like puts the recorder next to his ass, and he just like shits his pants in the middle of class.
Oh my god.
He's like, I have to get this figure, and it's only released every 3 years. He just shits his pants. So that's like the type of humor like this show like deals with, and it's I want to do a reaction to this and get you guys this.
I might have to check that out. I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah.
Do that.
And then the other two animes I watched, I did not mean for it to happen, but they were both like fucked up and depressing. So the first one I watched was a show called ReZero, and basically it's this high school kid gets transported to like a fantasy world, and you're like, oh, here's another stupid shonen anime where he's gonna be the chosen one or whatever. But like, actually, he doesn't have any abilities at all. He's like pretty unremarkable. The only thing that happens to him is if he dies, he goes back to like a checkpoint, like he respawns like in a video game, and he has like all the knowledge of what happens.
Leading up to...
what's going to be coming next, right? But he
Right,
can't.
okay.
But there's like this witch's curse on him that he can't tell anybody about this thing that he has.
Okay.
So it's
So
like anime Groundhog Day.
exactly, yeah, like and
Like Edge of Tomorrow, but
Yeah.
anime.
exactly, and then like the thing is like it leans really heavily on like the mental effects dying over and over have on him, and like seeing his friends and stuff get killed over and over have on him.
Boy.
Like there are moments where he like just completely like his mind shatters and stuff like that because he can't bear to see his friends die anymore, and he doesn't know what to do to like save them and stuff like that.
Sounds like torture. It's like, are you sure you didn't die and go to hell? Like, holy man.
Yeah, it's like for like it's like, oh, this is in fantasy world. You think there's lots of action, but it's like not really. It's a lot more drama than that.
Interesting.
And yeah, there's some pretty heavy moments in that show.
Interesting.
But even more depressing was the show that I finished yesterday, which was The Promised Neverland. Have you heard about this show at all?
That sounds very familiar. The Promised Never...
I think it came out last year and it was really, really popular, and that's kind of how I heard about it, but I knew nothing about it, just that I knew it was kind of sad.
Right.
And so the show starts off, and it's a bunch like of little kids. Like there's 3 11-year-olds, and everybody else is kind of younger, 10, some even being babies, and they're all in this like orphanage, and they're all like dressed in white and stuff, and there's this motherly figure who's taking care of them. And at the end of episode 1, everything seems all nice and cheery and shit. And at the episode 1, somebody's getting to leave the orphanage or whatever. So there she says her goodbyes and stuff like that. And then they realize that this girl left her stuffed bunny, so 2 of the older kids go to bring it to her. And then all while they like say, it's like, oh, you're not allowed to go to the gate, you're not allowed to go to the fence or anything like that. So I'm like, fuck, man, is this gonna be some fucking Nazi concentration camp sort of show or something like that? Because I knew it was sad. I'm like, this is gonna be some Nazi bullshit, and they're just gonna fucking gas this little girl, or something. Right. No, it might be even worse than that because the whole world has been like taken over by demons.
Ooh.
And this orphanage is actually a farm where they're raising these
sacrificing.
Yeah. So the thing is like they're raising these kids to get eaten by demons, and the reason why some kids are older and some are younger is that the smarter the kid, the better their brain tastes, I guess. So like they'll keep the smartest kids till they're older, until they're mature, and those will be like the prized food, and that will go to like, I don't know, the king demons and shit like that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Who comes up with that?
and so it's like now that the 2 kids know, and they're like, okay, we have to like escape this farm. And it's like, well, how do you escape when the whole world is demons? And like, it's very soon they like the mom like finds the bunny out by the gate, so that she knows like some of the kids have been there, so she knows like the kids know that they're in a farm and stuff like that. So it's like very intense and messed up show. And
because the mom that has to choose the kids is just probably like,
oh yeah, she's like totally in on it and stuff like that. And yeah.
oh, she's like totally fine with it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So those were some fucked up shows. I do recommend it, but As long as your heart's in the right place, I guess. If you're
Yeah,
willing to
it's-
take that.
Boy.
Well, on that happy note,
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we'll move on to our main topic, which is going to be our top 5 favorite movies of all time. I don't know how you guys did your list, but I just kind of picked 5 movies, and they're not going to be really in any specific order for me, anyways.
Right.
And my list is also kind of weird too, because like I didn't really pick any movies that were part of franchises. Like when I think of like my favorite movies all time, it's like of course Lord of the Rings is up there and like Star Wars is up there, but it's like how the fuck do you just pick one of them?
Right.
So they're
Right.
not even going to be on my list, even though like those movies are probably would be in my top 10 or something like that. But these are just like
Right.
5 movies for me that are I could watch any day, no matter
Anytime,
what.
any day.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess we'll start with you, Tyler. We'll go with your first pick, your number 5 or whatever you want to do.
Well, I only picked 4 because I can't think of 5 exactly. Maybe I'll consider it once I get to that one. I don't know. One I keep going back to. So you want me to start with like the number 5 of the bunch, like the lowest one?
Yeah, whatever
Or-
whatever you want to do. Yeah, lowest of the bunch, I
I
guess.
have mine in order, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna say, well, because I only have 4. I'm trying to think of one that I really keep coming back to because, like you said, like Lord of the Rings is such a good one too.
Mhm.
I love my zombie films a lot too. I have to say probably number 5. It's been a tough decision, but I think is going to be Saving Private Ryan.
Ooh.
I like war films and history and stuff. I just remember watching that movie and like the feeling I got in my stomach when I watched it because I'd seen more movies already as a kid and everything in school and whatever, and they were all just kind of like, oh yeah, it's gonna show everybody, with the training, and then they gotta say goodbye to their families, and then they gotta go, and then someone's gonna die. It's a whole template for war movies, right? They're all this. They're all like this. They're all great, right? Like they're all tell a significant story and everything else too about sacrifice and stuff. But the way this one starts,
Oh, it's
I guess it kind of starts off a little bit like that. It's like the first minute, it's like old man Matt Damon. He's looking at the graves and he's like thinking about what happened, and it goes straight to that D-Day. I was watching it. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what? There's meat flying everywhere. There's bullets ripping everywhere, and like at the time, I was probably junior high. I think I came out. I was pretty young still, and I'd already watched a lot of fucked up movies thanks to my grandparents. So I was kind of, trained for gore. But watching that, it wasn't the same. It was like the fact that you're sending bodies into metal is what you're doing. Like they're getting cut down before like the boat ramps even open. It's like who in their right fucking mind would even attempt to try and run across this beach? And like just the whole way it's filmed and everyone's screaming out and like why are they calling for the mom? Like I don't understand. Like I don't understand why they're saying these things and what's happening. But it's then when you find out later, like this is what goes through your minds when you're about to die or you see something so traumatizing, you just go back to your base instinct and you just, some people freeze, some people just, turn into a zombie and just run like the guy that picks up his arm on the beach.
Yeah.
Because after it gets blown off, he's looking around for it, he finds it and he just keeps trucking. I'm like, that whole first like 15-20 minutes, like I've never been in a situation like that before. I don't have any form of whatever. And when I heard about the veterans that watched it in the theater were walking out, I can see why, because honestly, like that was just the most visceral, realistic, fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life. It really makes you have a serious appreciation for the veterans or anybody that really serves in the military or has to even come close to even dealing with something half as bad as that. It just blew my fucking mind. And of course, obviously the way it was filmed and Steven Spielberg and the performances, everything else, it just seemed like so real. Like I've seen Tom Hanks movies, I've seen Forrest Gump, and I've seen all these other movies and everything. And then seeing him in a role like that and seeing how serious it was and like how nobody was really safe, no matter what rank you were, no matter who you were, whatever, and like how they go through all this to get one guy out. It was just so many emotions. It's just an insane fucking movie. Insane movie. One that you could like just watch, even though it's really depressing, but just the way it's filmed is incredible because it just seems so real. I don't know. That's my 5th favorite.
That's what I would say. It really made it real. That's the one thing a lot of movies before that didn't quite do.
Right.
That
It wasn't
really like that first scene. You're right on D-Day when the doors open up and it's just
and the
slaughter.
documentary style, like you're there with them on the beach when it's all happening. That was because I remember when I was watching it, I think my mom was the one that made the comment. She was like, "Man, I'm getting sick watching this because of like the camera and all this other stuff too." Because it was like one of the first few movies that was kind of filmed like that too, right? Where
Mhm.
it wasn't blocked and framed and like big sweeping action scenes and beautiful takes and the lighting and the slow motion, whatever. This is just raw and visceral and so freaking like, and it started like a whole thing because I think like even like Children of Men took its lead, like, oh, this way we're gonna try it this way too, right? Like just make
Mhm.
it super documentary style and like you're there with them, and now a lot of movies seem to really adapt that way of filming too. So that was a really big stepping stone for film, I think. After watching that, just changed everything, and it's just such a great movie. Man, I feel like that should be higher than 5 now. Now the more I talk about it, because the other 4 that I have on my list are so fucking like
Yeah.
far behind the quality of that movie. But yeah, so that one is really good. And then I'm just gonna do like another because I'm big into the violence. I'm a big horror film fan, and
Well, maybe
like
before we get your next pick, we'll go around in like a circle here. We'll kind of we'll get Eric's and then mine, and then we'll go back to you for your number 4. How about?
Sounds like a great idea.
There you go. Cool. So, Eric, what's your number 4 or number 5? What do you got
Number
there?
5, yeah, my number 5. That is Hot Fuzz.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yeah,
that is such a good movie.
Yeah, like that's. How can I say this? Too nerdy. It's Edgar Wright being fucking awesome. It's such a good movie. It's like 4 movies in one. It's a action movie, a horror movie, a mystery movie, and a comedy movie all at once. It's so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Writing is great. The camera work is
Definitely.
phenomenal,
Yep.
and the acting is top notch. Like Simon Pegg is just a phenomenal actor in that movie. He plays it straight so well, and how he comes around to play with Nick Frost's character and the whole thing with that and the whole police station. It's great.
Maybe like one of the most painful things I can like remember, like growing up, like watching was like him falling onto that fucking miniature town and getting that spire going through the bottom of his like lip and shit. I'm like, oh,
mouth. Yeah,
it really hurt. Blood just pouring out of his mouth.
If you watch Shaun of the Dead, you know they can do over the top violence for sure. And it does have that in the movie for sure, but it's great for that because it's pointlessly over the top and it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
It's funny to think too, like the Hound from Game of Thrones is the Narp guy or whatever.
Lurch, I think his name is.
Yarp. Yarp.
And,
oh my god.
Like
going from that to one of the most iconic characters in TV history.
The guy's got range. Yeah, he's got acting range.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good movie.
What can I say about this movie? It's by far it's one of the better time wasters I've known of because it just put it on in the background and it's you look over whenever you can, like I'm doing writing something or making something, whatever else, is look over to it and I can see a joke and I don't miss a beat. It's just right there and it's still funny every time.
Oh yeah, you could watch it multiple times, and just like because there's just so much to it. Like everything is so meticulously like planned out throughout the whole film. It's just it's so well crafted. Everything about it is just awesome.
And made on a shoestring budget too of like things like $12 million, whatever it was. Like so
right?
Yeah, it was made so cheaply, so efficiently, and just it's so.
Yep.
I can't see.
And I love how like the main villains are like a whole bunch of elder people. It's like old timers, and they're just like, and they're just shooting them, cutting them down in the street. It's awesome. Man.
You would not think like, oh, that movie it's going to go one way, but it goes another, and this what you expect is the bad guy isn't the bad guy. It's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much foreshadowing, but you still don't really know exactly what the hell's going on. And then when you find out, it's like, yeah, that's cool. That's different.
Over the most petty shit too. It's
yeah, exactly. Oh, the mime.
Yeah.
Oh, now for one priority he's got the big stack is the living statue. They point at the camera. They're like, I fucking hate that guy.
That guy has a movie.
The loitering, the graffiti.
It really made me like.
And when he finds the pit with all the bodies in there, and he's having all the flashbacks of how they described each one, it's so good.
It really made me enjoy British humor more too, as well. Because around not far after that, I started watching Top Gear, the British show. With, and more BBC shows. Like I started to enjoy it a lot more. And now I see like the British humor for sure on that side. It's fun to watch as well. So.
British humor is its whole different culture, man.
That kind of dry sense of humor style.
I binged more than ever. Oh yeah, like
and they don't hold
another
back.
level of humor. Yeah,
it's awesome. Sweet. That's a good
Yeah.
pick. That's a very
Mhm.
good pick. It's tough to pick just 5, man.
Yeah.
I got my 5.
I was not
Second
expecting that, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's definitely a classic for sure.
Mhm.
My number 5 might be weird to you guys as well, but my number 5 is The King's Speech
Oh, yes, the one
with
you made me watch.
why can't I remember his freaking name now? God damn it! I came
Uh,
ill prepared.
Colin Firth?
Yes,
Yes, Colin Firth. Yeah.
Colin Firth, and I wanted to get the other guy's name too. I'm bad at
Captain Barbosa? Jeffrey Rush?
Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Rush. Yes, like that
Jesus.
movie is nothing happens in that movie. It's literally about a guy like the king learning to overcome his speech impediment, and that's it. But the acting in that movie is like so goddamn incredible that
Mhm.
like I can watch that any day, anytime, and like I don't know why I like it so much, but to me
It's a
that's
very good movie.
yeah, it's all about the performances in that movie, and
Mhm.
then yeah, like I said, like Colin Firth, he won an Oscar for that. Like, of course he did because he was amazing. Jeffrey
Mhm.
Rush also, I think, won the Oscar for that as well.
Didn't
Sorry, go ahead there, Eric.
I'm trying to remember what that award's called because Colin Firth, I think, won.
He won Best Actor, and
Best
Jeffrey Rush,
Best
but
Supporting.
Best Supporting. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah, and
Oh, Jeffrey Rush did get one. Hey, that's good because he was amazing in that one too. He was all of the characters were so good.
yeah, and it won Best Picture for that year as well, I believe. And yeah, I mean, just like I don't know, like I can't say much about it because there's not much to the movie, but it's just like A+ performances across the board in that whole movie, and that's what makes it timeless to me and why I can watch it pretty much whenever. But,
See, I find that movie's like on par with like a what's that one? Fuck J.K. Simmons and the other guy with the drummer.
oh,
one.
Whiplash.
Whiplash. Oh, what a stressful fucking movie that was.
Nothing happens, but it's just that acting in that movie that really like ties it all together, and like, nothing really else happens. Just those two fighting and whatever else
Just
happens.
butting heads, and
Yeah, but that's
he's
the
such a
whole movie.
narcissistic, manipulative fucking
Yeah.
douchebag, but funny and psycho at the same time.
Same concept. Like nothing's happening, but just that drama between them is what carries this movie forward.
Oh, it just
Mhm.
goes
Yeah.
to show,
So
like,
maybe
if
the
it's a
same thing.
decent story, yeah, exactly. You don't have to have, a $300 million budget and make a big
Mhm.
polished fucking turd like half the Transformer movies. Like, man, you're just literally polishing a turd with that money.
Mhm.
I still like those. I still watched them all, so I
You
can't
just,
really
you
say.
just like Michael Bay. That's all.
Michael Bay's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He just needs a good script. Somebody give him a good script, please, please, and he'll make magic and explosions with it.
Fucking
He's
direct.
so good.
No, he's gonna make another 80s something or other. I don't know.
Okay,
Another
if
80s
it's
property.
there you go. If it's anything like Pain and Gain, oh, I'm all for it. Pain and Gain was hilarious.
Did
That
he
was it.
do G.I. Joe?
No,
No, that
he did
was
not.
That's
the guy who
surprising.
made the Mummy, or did
Oh.
the director the Mummy that made those GI Joe movies.
Rob Cohen? No.
No,
Now you're gonna make me look it up.
yeah, I'm looking.
Hold on now.
You would think like since fucking Michael Bay did Transformers and Ninja Turtles, he would have done G.I. Joe, but I guess not.
No, it was fast paced, but not fast paced like Michael Bay fast paced.
Summers.
G.I. Joe.
Stephen Summers. Summers.
No
Oh,
idea.
there you go. Just somebody that's trying to be like
Van Helsing. Ooh, actually.
Van
Then the
Helsing,
second
like
one
the one
was-
with what's his
Val
name? Hugh
Kilmer. It's
Jackman.
so stupid, but I love that one still.
Oh, that one.
Then the second one was John M. Chu,
Oh yeah.
G.I. Joe Retaliation.
I've only seen the second one, and it was fucking god awful.
The
It was
first one
terrible. Yeah, the one where The Rock comes in. He comes in as a new
Yeah.
character. Channing Tatum, the main guy in the first one, dies within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, he does.
I'm like, this is fake, right? He's gonna come back. Like they're gonna rebuild him, make him into like a cyborg. But
Yeah.
nope, that's it. No, they're just like, give him 10 minutes, and
Magic Mike.
that way everybody knows that this is a sequel.
And Bruce Willis is in it for some reason.
Oh, you know what? I actually forgot about that. That movie was so forgettable. So forgettable. I don't even care. It's not even that old of a movie. I just
No.
did not give a shit about that movie.
5 years ago.
2013.
Oh, okay, a little longer than that.
Yep. That's 8 years now already. Jesus.
The first GI Joe wasn't too bad. It's very much a Transformers level of redundant and stupid, but it's still kind of fun though. I don't mind watching it
Yeah,
still.
I enjoyed it. I watched it in the theater actually. That one, the first one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to Tyler's number 4 pick. How about?
Okay, number 4. I am going to say the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. It's not the old one. It's like I think the 3rd or 4th newest. They've got so many now out, which I've watched almost all of them. They're all trash. But well, this one's trash too, but it's just a perfect piece of trash I just love. It's got the same director that made the one with the Tooth Fairy, Darkness Falls. He made that one. That was one of his first movies. And I remember that movie.
Fairy? Vin
Yeah,
Diesel?
Darkness Falls.
Oh, no, it's
No.
all right. I get what you're saying.
Oh,
now.
Darkness Falls.
Tooth Fairy was The Rock.
Oh, The Rock was in that. Oh, whatever.
Yes,
It's
Darkness Falls. Why can't I remember this guy's name? It's like the director is. No, that ain't it. There's, I guess, apparently 4 or 5 different Darkness Falls movies, but it doesn't matter. No, I have to say, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning is probably one of my favorites. It's got R. Lee Ermey in it, legendary character actor, with the eyebrows and the sassy attitude.
Yeah.
The drill instructor from that
Full Metal
movie,
Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Yep, the best part of that whole movie, the first half-hour boot camp scene. But it's got that movie. That movie just makes you feel sick to your stomach from start to finish, and you know that nobody's gonna make it out of there because this is a prequel movie, and this is kind of like how it all starts. So obviously they're not gonna get caught. So the poor victim. So basically, the premise of the movie. I don't know if you guys have you guys seen it.
Nope.
So these 2 brothers with these 2 beautiful girlfriends are on their way to get on a boat or a plane to fly off to basic training because they're going to Vietnam. So it takes place in the 60s. And this big famine hits the Midwest, and all the rural towns are suffering. And R. Lee Ermey's a farmer with the big house and everything too, and he refuses to move to the cities and to leave the homestead. There's 5 families of Hewitts have tilled the soil of this, and we're not going to abandon our livelihood, So they're sticking around, but they're starving. There's no food, no nothing. And so what happens at the very beginning of the movie, this lady's sitting at the butcher shop, which was basically the one thing that kept this small, tiny little hamlet alive. And she's pregnant, and she starts having some pains. She falls down, and the boss won't let her go outside to have water or call for help or anything like that. There's no real FDA approved safety, anything like that. Back then, he didn't really give a shit. The guy was kind of a prick. So she falls down and gives birth to this deformed, it's got a flesh-eating disease kind of looking kid, this little baby, and he's like, oh my God. So she dies, and this lady, the wife of the farmer, R. Lee Ermey, she's, dumpster diving for food and whatever else, and she hears this raspy whining in the dumpster, and sure enough, it's that baby that got tossed in there. And she's like, oh my God, he's beautiful. Takes this hideous little creature home. And then, of course, unwraps it. And then R. Lee Ermey's iconic Dolly's like, that's the ugliest thing I ever saw. And then the opening titles start. And then it just shows progressing how he's, doesn't like the way he looks. So he's hiding his face and wearing masks. And then he starts mutilating animals and creating face masks out of it and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, and he's got all these reports and all this stuff too. The whole history. I'm just like, man, this is just so intriguing. And then basically it's the psychotic parenting that turns him into the monster that he becomes, and just the way it's filmed, the color, the music, everything. The acting could have used a little work, but R. Lee Ermey was awesome. He's awesome in everything he does. He's so over the top and swears every second word. And they take these kids, and the effects are absolutely incredible. The delimbing and the gutting and the chainsaw scenes were top notch. The best out of all the Texas Chainsaw scenes I've seen. See, now don't mistake me for a psychopath that I enjoy watching that kind of stuff in real life, because I can't even watch somebody cut their finger. I get really, really lightheaded. But movies is completely different because I know it's fake. And I'm just intrigued at how they can make it look so real. And this movie actually made me extremely squeamish watching it, and I haven't really felt like that in an extremely, a very long time. I don't even know of any other movie that made me feel really sick, grossed out, until but yeah, this is the only movie that really actually made me feel that way. So I that's why it has to get a top 5 for me. And I could just watch. I like watching with other people. I remember watching it with a friend of mine in school. he watched it, and there's a scene where the boyfriend is tied to a table, and his girlfriend ran in there to try and rescue him to get him out, but the cuffs are actually nailed in. It's like folded metal around his wrists, and he hammers them in. And so he runs off because some of them are the other girls trying to escape. So he runs out there with a meat hook, catches her, gets right in the boobie with the meat hook, and drags her back to the house. It's so messed up.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, it's retarded. You're just like, oh god. You're just like sitting there like curling up in your couch, like, oh, this is brutal. And the jump scares are amazing. So anyway, so the girlfriend of the guy that's on the table runs and tries to get him up, but can't, right? Because he's nailed in there. She's trying to pull on it, but it's nailed in. And he's like, no, just go without me. It's like a really emotional scene. And all of a sudden, the big sliding door opens and Tommy's standing there. He's just covered in blood. He's like running down the stairs. And then he's like, hide. So then she hides underneath the table where he's laying, of course. And I'm like, oh, God, he's going to get butchered right above her. This is going to be so disgusting. So he fucking pulls out the old chainsaw, starts from the waist and works his way up like that. And then that part was pretty disturbing. But then when he peels his face off, I'm like, this is definitely, yeah. Sorry, this might be a little too dark for our listeners.
Wow.
Yeah, that I like watching others watch it and just watch them get. So that the friend that I was watching it with, when that started, like with the knife and he's like starting to peel the face, he like actually ran to the bathroom and like had vomited a little bit. Yeah. So that's number 4 for me.
I can't do scary movies.
I don't know. Not only is it just like gory, it is terrifying because, and they just make it seem like, oh, they're so close, they're gonna get out, and then sure enough, Tommy spawns like in a video game. No, you're not, and grabs you and drags you back. Nope, you ain't going nowhere.
I got you for 3 minutes.
Yeah, gonna get you, bitch. I'll let you run for a couple of minutes for this great music score, and then I'm gonna meat hook you in the titty and bring you back to the house.
Has there ever been like another kind of prequel to like a horror franchise where they kind of show how villain becomes the villain before?
With Freddy a lot.
I'm trying to think of one where it goes back. Yeah, like with Halloween. Like Rob Zombie's Halloween kind of does. Well, I guess the first 20 minutes is like that, but then it becomes another. That movie is like 2.5 hours. That movie was very unsettling as well. Another great horror film. Probably the best Stabathon movie I've ever watched. Man, so many people get stabbed in that movie. Holy man! With one kitchen knife, the guy's just a beast. But yeah, that's one. I can't really think off right now off the top of my head. The origin stories for these psycho.
I know they try them every now and then, but they never like hit, right? That's the one thing they kind of stay away from with them.
No, I do remember one that was absolutely terrible. It was Hannibal Rising.
Oh,
when they tried to do Hannibal when he grew up, and it was weird.
Not too long ago either. That was a pretty new one, wasn't it?
Well,
there was a Hannibal TV show, which was really good actually, from what I heard.
That was really good.
I remember that movie. That kind of
Hannibal Rising came out in 2007.
Yeah, that was after high school. I thought.
Yeah, that one was actually the writer of the script was the original author of the Hannibal books that the movies are based off of, and he actually wrote it. I was really surprised. I was really excited to watch it just to see, because it takes place like after World War II, and he moves in with his aunt, and he's got to he's seeking revenge on the people that like killed and mutilated his sister and ate her, because they were like freezing, and he was in the house too, and they were cooking her, and then he ended up having to eat it too. Like he was so delusional and lost his parents and everything. And these, I can't remember if it was the Russians or who it was that had moved into his place and took over, and then he ended up actually eating some of his sister too, because they cooked her in a pot. It was just, that part was really, that was a weird movie. That's how he had his taste for flesh, and then he promised that he would avenge his sister's death. You don't find out until the end of the movie that he actually ate some of it. You actually don't know that, and you're like, oh, no way. So that was kind of cool, the ending, if you can sit through the whole kind of boring,
the boring parts.
The boring parts, yeah. The non-violent boring parts. The character building.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs that?
No, just get straight to the chainsaws, man. Let's go.
All right, Eric, what's your number 4 movie there?
Oh, well, mine's not as gory or terrifying as Tyler's. Mine's just Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. Like that's a whole different movie than that.
So good.
Yeah, like that's the one movie I regret not watching it, because this movie deserves to be seen on the biggest screen with the best sound. Visually, it's one of the best movies ever. It's so
It is.
Very good.
You could take stills from that movie and frame them on a wall, and it would look like they belong.
It's literally my desktop background right now.
Really? Oh, it's good.
Nice choice.
And like the characters, it's not like, for those who don't know, it's not the original, Peter Parker that we know. It's about Miles Morales, who is bitten by a radioactive spider, just like Spider-Man before, but goes through his own version of the hero origins with multiverse Spider-Man as well in there. It's not your usual Spider-Man tale where it's just Peter discovering it and building with it, becoming better with that. No, it's this whole other ordeal with all these other people involved and this whole other universe involved, and it's well done. It's really well done.
Yeah, and it's so different from all the other Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this one, for the longest time, without Spider-Man, the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, we wouldn't have those movies we have now. Because of that, there was a huge demand for it all. So, then exactly. After watching those ones not too long ago, I really don't like them anymore. And I find they aged terribly. Kind of lost faith in lost favor with Spider-Man, I guess. But this one really pulled me back into that universe and made me enjoy Spider-Man that much more. And then Homecoming came out, and then Far From Home came out, and now the new versions are really well. It shows just how good this character is, right? So,
yeah.
Cool. Just watch it.
Yeah.
You need to see it. Yeah,
absolutely. And actually, kind of coincidence, because my number 4 movie is also Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man nerds.
But yeah, I mean, like, that's like, to me, that is the perfect comic book movie. It might, I mean, it takes like you need a barely passable knowledge of who Spider-Man is. I mean, they briefly kind of give you the gist of what it is, but I mean, anybody can watch that and get the joy of a comic book movie. Not like some of these Marvel movies where it's like, since they're all built on one another, you kind of have to know what's been going on with them. This one, you can just jump right into it, and it's like one of the most beautifully animated movies ever. Just like some of the crazy things they do with it, like they animate Miles Morales on twos, which essentially means, because what is it? It's 24 frames per second is what film runs at, right?
That's right.
So they animate him at 12 frames a second. So he's a little bit jankier than anybody else in the movie until he finally becomes Spider-Man. And then that transitions him to 24 frames per second, where he's actually able to fill the role, and he's like actually comfortable being Spider-Man now. And you see the actual growth, just like it. Yeah, like Eric said, any frame you can pluck from there, and it's a piece of art. They put so much crazy details and everything. Like the best movie soundtrack in like recent memory too. Like I still play that in my truck like all the time.
Oh man. That whole scene where he like just leaps off the building from there until he gets to where the particle whatever dismember thingy is. That whole entire scene where he's becoming like, and he's so comfortable with it, like you said, when it transitions to him being comfortable and accepting his role now and taking on that responsibility was so epic. Like your heart just starts like you're just it's such a powerful scene.
That's one of the scenes where I wish I would have saw in theaters, because that just
because they mix the song with an actual like orchestrated, like it is so perfectly crafted.
I watch it
so good
now and then if I get pumped up.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have that when we were playing volleyball warm-ups.
No,
AC/DC, where's my
the Tiger? Like, come on,
What's Up Danger song? Let's go.
So there we go. So Tyler, let's move on to you for your number 3 movie there.
3 movie. Oh, another horror film. It's gonna have to be, because I've seen almost all of the zombie movies that are out there. Just about all of them. I'm gonna have to say the best one that stands out the most is Dawn of the Dead by Schneider, the 2004, 2005. I can't remember what year exactly came out. That movie was a game changer for me. Not because the zombies sprint. I saw that already in a previous film that I'd watched, 28 Days Later. Mm-hmm. Danny Boyle introduced zombies that can sprint, which all in itself is terrifying. And the thing about that being so terrifying too is that these zombies, like when they bite you, the bite kills you, you turn into one, whatever. But in that 28 days later, when you get bit, it's within like seconds and then you turn. But then these zombies, like if you leave them alone long enough, they're just like basically like feral humans, and they can eventually die from starvation and whatever, right? But these zombies, these are corpses, walking corpses. So some of them are fresh, some of them are old and withered, but they're still spry and can just haul ass. And they're just like relentless. And I think the reason why I like this movie so much, being the top 3, this was almost going to be like number 1, honestly, is because it's both funny, it's a satire, it's terrifying, it's action-packed, and it's cheesy, and it's serious, and it's sad. It's everything all rolled into one. It is just such a perfectly made movie with really relatable characters because they're all so different. And I think it has a lot to do with the amazing script that James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, actually penned the script for that movie. And I think that played a lot into why it was so good. Like the guy's just an amazing writer. Like if you've seen any of his movies, they're so fucking weird, but so like such good characters. He's a very good character writer. And then he just has a really good, like, I don't know. It's such a funny, awesome, sickening movie too. And, you just enjoy it the whole time. You can honestly put that on and watch it anytime and you just be entertained because the effects still hold up. There's still, this is before Zack Schneider got really into the whole slow-mo, CGI heavy shots, like 300 and stuff. This was kind of like his precursor to all that.
This is his first ever movie he made, looks like, too.
Yeah. Yeah, this is his first real big one that he made, and it was amazing. Ving Rhames, you got him in there, and you got freaking Sarah Polley. She did awesome. I'm not normally a big fan of her movies because she kind of plays the same kind of character. But she was really good in this too, and and you got the guy from is it Modern Family, the goofball there, with the black hair.
Phil Dunphy or whatever.
Yes, yeah, him. He is hilarious. He's just like this total fucking sarcastic douchebag, just a little whatever out for himself, and that's it. Doesn't give a fuck about anybody else, and just like it's so good. That's very, very good. And then the guy that CJ, the security guy there, he starts off as a stone cold bastard, and by the end, he ends up being the big hero that saves them all, sacrifices himself. Just really good character arcs. Just, I don't know. It's the best zombie movie I've ever seen. It's so good.
I've seen it since it came out, and I've seen it in 15 years probably.
Wow. You got to revisit. You guys got to watch this movie. It is so good. It's incredible. And then one of the most terrifying parts is this big, severely obese woman gets bit, and she's in the wheelbarrow, and she's infected. And what's happening, and she's like going pale, and they put her on the bed, and the main lady's a nurse, and she's wiping her down and telling her it's going to be okay, trying to get her some air, and it's like, oh, she's really cold. Usually an infection like this brings on a fever. Then all of a sudden she does this whole and then stops breathing, and they're like, oh shit, she's dead. They're like, oh damn, that sucks. What was her name? Like, oh, it didn't have a name, so they put the blanket over her face, and all of a sudden she sits up, and she fucking moves so fast and just like and it's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in any movie. And then when they finally kill him, like, man, who was that lady playing that? It ended up being a guy in a bodysuit dressed as a woman. And it was so convincing, man. It was like, I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? This chick is just the most spry woman I've ever seen. And yeah, I'm like, those tricky bastards. They got me. So it's awesome. Very good movie.
Very good movie. Yeah, like I like you said, the comedy of it, and it's like it kind of just shows you like the fun of just living in a shopping mall would be kind of too.
Yep, yep. Being stuck in a shopping mall, you got all your amenities and all that stuff too. When they're playing the shooting poker thing there, they're putting up celebrity names, and the guy across the street shop. The celebrity challenge. Oh my god! Just for that scene alone, made it the best movie. It's so funny.
Jay Leno. Bang.
Bang! It's like, oh, give him a tough one. Burt Reynolds. Boom! It's like, man, didn't even look like him. This guy's good. And they're playing golf and shooting golf balls at them, and they're bouncing off their heads. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Trying to make light of a really terrible apocalyptic situation.
Exactly.
I guess some people would do that, right? It's pretty realistic on how people probably would act. Yeah. Very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eric, let's hear your number 3 movie there.
Number 3 is Pacific Rim. The
Ooh.
most redundant, over the top, and pointless movie, and I absolutely fucking love it.
But it's glorious.
It's shot so well, and it's robots versus monsters. It's so stupid in concept, right? But it's directed by Guillermo del Toro, and it's done with so much passion and heart. It's so good. It's worth so much more than some of its parts.
Yeah. Agreed.
The passion put into it and the thought process behind it, like, just who would have thought, like, oh yeah, no, let's make this movie, make it kind of dumb, and just
I've never actually seen all of it. Like, I remember it being on the TV at work once, and like catching bits and pieces of it. But yeah, it's definitely one that I have to go back and watch.
I think it's on Netflix right now. I think
it's
I just
sequel
watched it.
I think for a while, the awful sequel they made a couple of years ago. That one was on there for a bit, I think. But
was that also directed by him or no?
No, that one had no involvement with him whatsoever. He wanted,
and you can tell, tell, like, the effects are good in the second one, but it's just like the way it's filmed. There's no sense of like that dread feeling that everything that they're doing is, it's just delaying the inevitable. That whole sense of like, man, it's just like, you're going out there, you're probably going to die. And it just gets worse and worse. And every time you survive one victory, it just doubles down. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, what are we supposed to do? It's so good. Yeah, I agree with you. That was a very good movie.
No, and like
great soundtrack too.
And tons of practical effects too. Like a lot of the cockpits using the robots was all practical. Like CGI was pretty much only in the robot fight itself. That was kind of it. That was one thing I really liked too as well. The sets on that movie was way over detailed for no reason besides the fact he wanted to put that in there. And then in the newer ones, you see that more where it's like, one big CGI set.
Yeah,
like that was the whole point of the whole thing, was to make it feel real.
That's like, God, John Boyega, god damn it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, yeah. So
that's the guy that can
it's pointless and over the top, and I love it.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
You really should check it out, Scott. You won't regret it.
I mean, I was a big fan of freaking Power Rangers growing up, so I mean, it's basically that, right?
It's
kind of, sort of,
yeah. I guess.
Big robot punches big monster. That's all you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I guess. Yeah,
sword shows up out of nowhere and no awesome anime cutscene. Although one time a ship is used as a sword, so it's there's this moment.
Yep. It's like, oh man, I don't have a sword anymore. I'm going to use this oil tanker that's sitting here. Smack him across the face with it. That's fucking awesome.
It's like the twisted tea guy. The
gas
station.
You packing any heat, sir? Just this tea.
Legit. I should make a meme of that and put it over and send it to you guys. It would work.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, there you go. Well, my number 3, I did kind of say at the beginning, I didn't pick any franchises except for this movie, and that's because I picked The Dark Knight, which is, to me, the best Batman movie ever made, and we'll see if it ever gets topped. Go ahead. You're objecting, Eric.
Let's hear the objection. Come on.
We'll talk about it later on. We'll get to later on. Yeah, my options. But
I think while reading your list, I'll clarify. And I'll say the best live action.
Yes, I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Just like Christopher Nolan, like the way he shoots it, like it looks fucking amazing. Like, what can you say about Heath Ledger's performance that hasn't been said already? It's like up there with up there with Mark Hamill and being like, when you think of the Joker, you think of either Mark Hamill or you think of Heath Ledger.
Like, what, you don't think of Jack Nicholson? Come on.
That's before my time, I'll say.
Oh, cool.
But like, yeah, just like, I mean, it's, I don't know, it's just such a great movie. Um, I think not Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne and Batman, he's fantastic. I know people dog on his voice being kind of weird, but to me that makes perfect sense why you would disguise your voice. And just like the whole subplot of like the Joker just trying to wreak havoc. He's lighting the money on fire. He's like, I'm only burning my half. You know, like, and he just like, it's like, oh, let's see if the prisoners will blow up the other boat, or if the people will blow up the prisoners, because, you know, and they don't actually do anything. And it's just, yeah, it's such a fantastic movie. I'm sure everybody's seen it by now. It's like one of the highest grossing movies of all time, but yeah, that is my number 3 movie for sure.
Deservedly so, for sure. That he just uses the whole city as like a big science experiment, social experiment. Just because he's whatever, just wants to push Batman and make him undo all of his.
That, you know,
yeah,
everyone's a hypocrite. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
good pick.
And yeah, just solid performances. I mean, like, by everybody. Like Michael Caine as Alfred, and Harvey Dent was fucking amazing. Commissioner Gordon.
Oh yeah,
fantastic as well. So, if somehow you have never seen The Dark Knight, you
live under a rock.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Tyler, let's go to you with your number 2 movie there.
2. You guys are probably gonna think I'm clapped, as my protege at work would say. Is going to be Starship Troopers. I watched this movie when I was a kid, and that movie blew my mind. This is before I had any idea of what a political satire was, or what like making fun of something really meant. I watched this movie and totally cheering on the GIs that were going to squash bugs on a different planet, and the effects blew anything out of the water. Well, that's Paul Verhoeven. He's very good with special effects. He made the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Total Recall. He made a World War II movie called Black Book. That was another great movie. But when this one came out, the effects were like 10 years ahead of its time when it came out. And honestly, if you watch it now, I guarantee you the effects still hold up better than half the garbage that they're putting out today. Honest to God, the effects were so good. And like the battle scenes when they're shooting the bugs, and you know, there's the love story thing. I watch it now, and it's such a horribly acted movie. The performances were so dodgy. It's like these guys were just, you know, didn't even know what the script was. They were just reading from a teleprompter, it seemed like, you know. I got Denise Richards in there just for looks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when you watch it now and you see it for what it actually is, deep down, a lot of people kind of dug into it, and it's like a political satire of like, because so basically what happens in the show is that the entire world is like, it's called the Federation now. So basically you're either a citizen or a civilian, and anybody that's a citizen is like, you know, supreme and whatever. It's almost like a fascist federation run world, right? It's a dictatorship pretty much. And what they believe is all that matters. And these bugs are just like basically territorial. So when the humans came, they retaliated and protected themselves. And they're like, oh, they started a war. We're going to go smash these bugs and fucking hate bugs. We got to kill them all. And we're going to nuke them and this and that. Hoorah, kind of thing, right? So it's got like the whole gung-ho Marine, you know, American supremacy mentality. And it's got the fascism. Like all the officers in the show literally have like old SS leather trench coats and the big hats. Like you could totally tell that this is poking fun at all that stuff, which I watch it now and I have even more appreciation for it. It's just such a, you know, if you see it on the surface, look at it from the outside, you're like, man, this is the cheesiest, most expensive B movie I've ever seen. But if you dig into it, it's like, man, this is like a perfectly crafted film. I don't know, maybe, but that's just my opinion. I could honestly sit there and watch this movie over and over again. It's so entertaining. It is so good. It just makes me laugh and shake my head and like just kind of nod when the explosions start happening, all the bug juice flying everywhere when they're bombing them and shooting them. It's very good. Very good movie. One of my favorites. It's the kind of thing that got me into wanting to really get heavy into writing, because it's like, man, whoever came up with this must have been on something really good, because this is awesome. It's like Star Wars, but just like way more violent and more exciting.
Trying to think of the author's name before that.
Robert A. Heinlein.
Heinlein, yes.
Heinlein.
He did
Heinlein.
Strangers in a Strange Land, which is another fucked up book as well. And
Right.
That's it makes
Yeah.
sense coming from his point of view because it's a really like what was he on? But it was the 60s when he wrote it, so it was a
Yeah, exactly. Like, who comes up with this? Like, it's wild. So, yep, it's definitely top 5. Number two for sure.
It's definitely a good like just popcorn movie for sure too.
Extremely. Oh, for sure, yeah. Very good popcorn movie. It's got good old Jake Busey in there.
Now and then just put it on like, oh, I'll watch Dr. Troopers.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when Jake Busey, Gary Busey's son, he's in there and he's like, and they're doing the basic training. They're throwing the knives, and Jake Busey's yelling at his drill sergeant. He's like, "Sir, I don't understand. Why do we need to win a knife fight if all you have to do is push a button?" And then the drill instructor says, "All right, buddy, hold your fire. He's like, "Put your hand on that wall, Private." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Put your hand on that wall." So he puts his hand on the wall, and he's like, kind of hesitating. Drill sergeant grabs a knife, whips it. It goes right through his hand into the wall. He's like, "Ah!" And he's like, "The enemy cannot push a button if you disable his hand." Like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen. It just, yeah, you got my vote just for that one scene. It was so
Mr. Krabs to disarm somebody. It was pretty funny, yeah.
Yeah, so good.
There you go. All right, well, Eric, on to your number 2 movie there.
Deadpool's my number 2.
Oh,
That one. I've been a Deadpool fan since like 2009. I want to say before like X-Men Origins ever came out, before Ryan Reynolds was even like casted as the.
before it was cool. No, I'm just kidding.
Before it was before it was cool. Yeah. But like the more you discover it, like Ryan Reynolds signed on for it, and he got more involved with it. Like this is going to be awesome, right? Yeah. When that movie finally came out a few years ago, yeah, it blew me out of the water, which how good it was and how good it could be, and I would really see it as like a big middle finger towards the movie industry itself because everyone was telling them like, no, this movie is going to be bad. It needs to be a PG-13 rated movie. It has to be, with so many things involved. With it. Like, no, we want to make our movie. It's going to be great, and you're going to see. And sure shit comes out and destroys all records.
Oh yeah,
just how good it was, and yeah.
Now suddenly everyone's a Deadpool fan.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. So
for good reason.
Right. Like this character was so good before this, and now it's even better. Now it's like, oh yeah, fucking. And now we just learned today too that he's going to be in the MCU finally, and
right.
That's finally happening after 6 years. Oh, yeah.
I love a good underdog story. Like every producer that had been approached by it, they're like, man, you're not making a movie about somebody that breaks the fourth wall, like somebody that swears all the time. They want, PG clean humor. Families aren't going to come see this. Blah, blah, blah. Man, when I went to see Deadpool, there were so many kids there. I'm like, there shouldn't be this many kids here. Like this is, the first 15 minutes, it's like, holy man, I'm looking at these kids. Like, man, where are the parents? Like, how are they okay with this? But the kids are just
they're cheering with them.
But they've been reading the comics that are like that since so. Yeah, fuck.
It just shows that this just how good of if you let people who have passion to make this movie make the movie, it's gonna be fucking good. Just
exactly.
In that, like, there's none of that these days.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, like Tim Miller's first time directing it, he knocked it out of the park, and I wish he came back for a second one because I find the second one was good, but didn't have.
There was creative differences between him and Ryan Reynolds, right?
Is
that
what
the issue was, or something?
Yeah, something like that. They did nothing sinister, nothing bad. Just they saw different things for it and just went their other ways.
Went in different directions,
yeah. But otherwise, yeah.
I still enjoyed the second one too. The first one I enjoyed considerably more, obviously, but yeah.
It just does show like his budget is only like $60 million, so it does show its budget does show in a movie, but it doesn't matter because it's charming.
See, that's. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but they also they poke fun at the budget too, right?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. It's like they know darn well. Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly. We're in the expansion. You can't. Where's all the X-Men? That's weird. They're not around here. It's just. It looks like it's just the two of you. Yeah.
I see these two X-Men in this, right? Exactly. So funny.
Yeah.
I remember watching an interview when I watched The Devil's Rejects, another great horror film, Rob Zombie movie. he was sitting there and he was talking about how when he made House of a Thousand Corpses, he had this huge budget. So it's like, man, we got all this extra money. We may as well put it into costumes and into this and blah, blah, blah. And the movie ended up being kind of shitty. So when he went to make his second one, he had a fraction of the budget. He's like, Jesus Christ, like, how am I going to make this movie? And he said that he was glad that he had a fraction of the budget because it made him have no choice but to be more creative and do a better job and use what was available and just expand on it. And it ended up being night and day difference, way better movie. So that's, doesn't matter about the budget, man. It's like, who's at the helm? Who's got control of the story? Who's going to do it? And
that's the
like you said, passion. What's that?
Which one was that? Is that the Devil's Rejects you're talking about?
Yeah, Devil's Rejects.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah,
that one's awesome for the first one.
I didn't even know that one was a sequel. I actually watched that first, and I'm like, oh man, there's an older movie. I'm gonna watch that, and I watch it. I'm like, man, what the fuck is this? Like, this is super boring.
Limitations can produce creativity. That's the one thing that. Yeah, sure. You want to make this $500 million movie, cool, but it's going to mostly spent on CGI, and now the castings turn to shit, and directors turn to shit, and
you just get lazy, and it's like, we'll just make a CGI instead of doing everything realistically. Just get lazy.
That was my number 2 pick. Was Little Deadpool.
Great choice.
Fantastic movie for sure. And my number 2 is Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
This one, like I said, a lot of these movies, they're kind of in no particular order. Shawshank might be my favorite movie on one day, and sometimes it's not, I guess. But it's, what can you say? It's on IMDb as the number 1 movie of all time because it's fucking amazing. Morgan Freeman is fantastic in it. Like, it's a movie that like somehow you like sympathize with like murderers and criminals and stuff like that. And it's just like, if you've never seen it before, like, there's literally like an old man who's been in prison for literally since he was like a young man, and he finally like gets let out, and you see him out of prison, and like he ends up killing himself because like he can't handle the outside world. Like, the world has like moved past him so much, and like he like at first didn't even like want to like leave the prison. He was gonna try and kill somebody inside the prison so he didn't have to leave because he felt safe being inside there and stuff like that. It's just like you just see all these different stories in there, and like the escape and how that happens, and just incredible movie. Like I say, if you've never seen it before, you definitely need to see it. It should be like required viewing, I'd say.
Yes. I'm gonna make a very awkward confession. I have not seen it.
Oh my god!
And you blew the ending for me.
Yeah.
I know. I should have honestly.
Spoilers, he gets out of prison at the end.
I should have seen it already. I'll admit. I don't know why I haven't watched it yet. I've been meaning to, but I just.
I'm in the same boat. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my god!
Sorry, dude.
Movie aficionados have not seen Shawshank Redemption.
I know, right?
Shut this podcast down.
Yeah,
We're a bunch of hacks.
Fuck's sakes.
Fuck sakes, boy. I'm sorry, Scott. Before we let you down.
Yeah, I don't know. Frank Darabont. I mean, he somehow can only direct good movies if they're based on a Stephen King novel or something.
True story. True story.
Like The Mist. The Mist is another one. Another really great one. Anything other than that, he's not that great.
Hey, the first season of Walking Dead was pretty good. Okay, it was pretty good. No,
okay.
Hey?
I mean, okay. I read the comics first, so like nothing's ever gonna live up to those at all ever.
Of course not. Right?
Because who's this?
I read it.
Who's this fucking Daryl guy? He sucks. Get him out of there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he's not even in the comics.
No, he's not.
Because don't the Telltale games follow more of the books?
Well, Telltale Games is like actually just kind of its own offshoot thing.
Oh,
I mean, it's based in the comic book universe, but
right.
Yeah, I thought it was based on the original. I never, because I never read the original graphic novel of The Walking Dead.
Fantastic, really, really good.
Yeah, because I remember I got it to I think it was like season 6 or 7, right before Negan kind of stepped in, and then you had let me read your Walking Dead compendium or whatever compendium.
Yeah.
And I read that. I'm like, man, none of this is like the show. Like the same locations and some of the same characters, but completely different portrayals of these characters. Oh, these ones are supposed to be dead a long time ago. How come they're like, top dogs here? Like, I don't understand. Like Carol, like
Carol's totally different.
Yeah, like what the heck is this? But and then I'm like, yeah. After reading that, I just stopped watching the show because the swearing and the brutality and everything was so much better. In the
it's in the show. It's watered down, like
right. But it's still a violent show.
Yeah,
it's violent enough that it piqued my interest.
For sure.
But after reading the comic, the story was just so much better too, right? Like, and just more, like, I don't know. It just seemed more dire. Situations were so much more dire, like the whole winter scene, and they're in there and they're trying to survive, and then they're melting and coming. Like, I don't know. I think that should have been explored too. Right. The changing seasons with the winter and stuff. Yeah. Instead of just always hot. It's always hot, and they're all sweaty all the time. Come on, you guys. Is that the same? Dirty. Is it the same season or the same summer for like 10 seasons? Come on.
They're in Georgia. That's how it is. I don't know.
It's always summer, I guess, in Georgia.
I guess so. Alrighty, let's move on to your number one movie there, Tyler.
Oh God, the number one movie.
We're all gonna judge you based on this.
Here, go right ahead. You'll be wrong. Number one, best movie, Man on Fire. Tony Scott's masterpiece. Shut up. Starring my favorite actor, Denzel Washington. The best revenge film you will ever watch. The best film. The way it's filmed, I remember hearing from a lot of people that had watched it, said that it made them kind of, like confused as to what was happening. So Denzel plays it. Denzel's character is an alcoholic, and he's basically trying to drown the demons of the terrible things that he did when he was doing whatever. They don't actually explain exactly what he was before. He was just like some kind of agent that did terrible things to terrible people, and he's basically like a hitman, whatever, like worked for the government and stuff. And his partner and best friend, Christopher Walken, he's now helping immigrants in Mexico jump across the border and stuff like that. That's how he makes his money, because he's retired as well. And so basically, Denzel is just basically a husk walking around drinking, doesn't really know what he wants to do with his life. He's borderline, suicidal. He's depressed and all this stuff too. And then Christopher Walken's like, oh, why don't you come work for me for a little bit? Take on these easy jobs, clean yourself up and blah, 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 get some fresh air. He's like, all right, I'll give it a shot. So he goes, and he goes to Mexico, and he ends up becoming a bodyguard for a wealthy American family living in Mexico City. And he takes care of this little girl, Lupita Ramos, and played by Dakota Fanning, who that girl stole my heart in that movie, man. She was so incredible in this show. And the mother, Radha Mitchell, and that terrible singer, Let It Rain on Me, Mark Anthony. He's the dad. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing in here? But whatever. Anyway, that's besides the point. And you got Mickey Rourke. He's in there too. He's the lawyer for Mark Anthony. And so anyway, Denzel, he goes and he ends up watching this little girl. And this little girl, she's like, I don't know, she's like probably about 12, maybe 10, 12-ish. And she's a very curious young girl, and really interested in John Creasy. That's the main character, and wants to know who he is and how he got those scars on his hands, and like why he is the way he is, why he doesn't like talking and all this stuff too. So basically, she's trying to get to know him, become his friend, and he doesn't want any part of that, because he doesn't want to get attached to anybody and all this stuff too. And then right when she finally cracks him, wins his heart, he stops drinking, changes his whole life. She gets kidnapped and killed, and he goes fucking berserk. He goes back to his dark place, and he grabs some guns, and he kills everybody. And it's just a roller coaster of a movie, man. It is so good, and the last 15 minutes will make you ugly cry. The last 15 minutes. It is the best movie. It is. If you guys have not seen this movie, please do yourself the favor and watch this movie. It is the perfectly crafted movie. It's incredible. Incredible performances, incredible music, the soundtrack. I listen to that. That is the best soundtrack, best movie, best acting, best everything. That's, to me, though. That's, yeah. It's kind of a 180 from my horror films, because it's got an actual really good story, and there's not a lot of action, especially for the first, 45 minutes to an hour. It's the last half hour where he, goes crazy. But,
True.
it's so good.
He plays that character of that driven character so well.
Oh, he does, man.
So well in this. It's
Yep.
so good for that.
And you could tell what he's feeling. Like, even though he doesn't really say much, everything says it in the eyes, man. In his eyes, you can just tell from his face exactly what he's saying and what he's doing, man. And he's just ruthless, ruthless. Yeah.
I thought
best
for sure
movie.
it'd be like what's a whatever kind of movie. No, I was blown away by how good that.
Oh man, finally someone who appreciates it as much as I do. Fuck,
No,
it is so good.
I thought, oh yeah, it's whatever. It's another Denzel action movie. Yeah, but you're right. That last 15 minutes, oh god, like you just want to.
Oh, it just rips your heart out, and like they shove it in your mouth after you,
Yeah.
so you can't even like talk or anything. You're just like
No.
choking on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
So emotional. It's so good. Those two should have won Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair. It's not
Yeah.
fair. The judges are wrong. What even won Best Picture that year? I don't even know. Man,
It's
on
fraudulent. It won by a landslide and they stole it.
fire. What?
No, I don't know.
I'm like, that can't- what the hell? Fraudulent? Are you kidding me?
I was making a political joke.
But
It's all right. It's all. Hey, it's fine. I wish I liked that movie as much as you do, but because I like the action, I like the whole story, I like the performances. It's just edited so fucking weird.
yes, that's
It's
I
edited
think.
like it's timed. Like it's edited back in 2004. Like it's
Yeah, but that's
Well,
not,
and it was
doesn't
different
age
too, because
well. I don't know, like
when he was going on his rages and when he was like drinking and having bad thoughts, that's when they actually overlaid multiple reels of film and played him at different speeds. So it looked like his brain was all jumbled and it was all just like, and he was just like, almost borderline hallucinating because he was so depressed from all these horrible things that he did. And then everything, you notice how like when he's with her and he's, going to swimming with her and teaching her, and she looks up to him like the father that she never really had, right? And everything's clear and it's beautifully shot. It's perfect. And then once she gets taken, it goes right back to grungy, fucking fast, weird, all over the place because his mind is just going batshit, right? Like it's just, I don't know. I think it's perfectly crafted. It's so good, and it was one of Tony Scott's big passion projects too. That was his big thing. Passion project. It was so good.
It's a good movie.
7 out of 10. Just kidding.
7 out of 10. Fuck.
All right, Eric, let's hear your favorite movie of all time.
My favorite movie of all time is one that was actually never released in theaters, which I found say, but it's Batman Under the Red Hood. It was released as a DVD in 2010, and it's by far one of the best Batman stories ever shown in a movie.
But it's a cartoon.
Yes, that's the one thing with it. Everyone's like, "Oh,
Disqualified.
it's animated." I know, but it's by far the best storyline in the series too, because it's so emotional and it's the plot lines are not even like convoluted at all. It all adds up as a big mystery in the end, and who the Red Hood is and what the whole story is behind that, and like it's a great like Batman story. It's by far one of the better rated movies Batman ever as well, and it's
When you had lent that movie to me,
I did,
and I watched it, and I was like, you know what? Like this movie is fire. This is really good. I'm like, maybe I should look more into these animated Batman movies because they're better than some of the older ones. And
the two top, most people who agree the two better movies that have been released have been this one, and the Nolan movies, and then the original animated movie, the Mask of Phantasm.
Oh yeah,
that's an older one too that came back in the 90s. I watched that one pretty recently, a couple of years ago, and that's another great movie too. But that's it's more of a Bruce Wayne Batman, like it's more personal on that end, not so much of Batman doing stuff. So
gotcha.
Good in that sense. But this one is just like it's fucking great start to finish, and I think I watch it at least like 5 times a year. It's
wow.
Anytime I need something to watch, I'm bored, I put this on and I watch it and don't stop. It's I don't know what it is with this movie with me, but just the voice acting in it, it's not your usual characters. It's not Mark Hamill. It's not Kevin Conroy. It's actually Bruce Greenwood and John DiMaggio as the Joker, which people get confused about.
You haven't seen it, Scott?
I haven't. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I think I've read the comic. Like I know the story of.
The story's about death in the family, and
you got to watch it just for John DiMaggio, man.
Like he plays a Joker that you wouldn't think works, but it works.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He does it so well.
Yeah, I
He
agree
doesn't.
completely.
There's no Mark Hamill, that's for sure. But the way he voices the Joker in this movie.
Yeah. Well, even the Jensen Ackles, is it that does
That is the Red Hood. Yeah,
Red Hood?
from
Yeah,
Supernatural.
he's like Dean Winchester from Supernatural, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He does the voice of him. I thought that was really good. I'm like, man, that
He
voice
did a-
sounds familiar.
For someone who doesn't do voiceover work, he did a phenomenal job.
I agree.
Yeah.
And Bruce Greenwood, yeah, he was really good for Batman.
He does more Batman work after this, but yeah, he does a really good job of it being like, he plays it straight, plays it forward, and does a good job.
Yeah. He's a good actor too, though. So I
Yep.
mean, that just helps.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of my favorite comics series, the Death in the Family series, and it's
Huh.
it doesn't hold. It's not as it's tough to convince people to watch this because it is an animated movie. It's not as live action, not as appealing to watch. But if you want to watch a good story, you watch this one.
Well, take it from me because I don't like animated stuff too much. But when Eric lent me this movie and I watched it, I was blown away by it,
Mhm.
and it actually made me want to watch more animated stuff,
Mhm.
like in that kind of like I ended up watching Suicide Squad. I think you lent me that one too. Yeah, that's what it's. Is that what it was called?
It was a Suicide Squad. It was the Suicide Squad in the Arkham universe.
That's right. Yeah, that like the animated one. Like, well, it was better than
The video game. The video game one. Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
But,
it's and they've done a ton of like the Justice League animated stuff, like their own separate movies, their own universe, and that. Like their
Right.
direct DVD stuff is actually coming really good for the DC line. They're like more
Right.
enjoyable than their main theater releases. Like it's
What we would call hidden gems. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I agree. That's
Yeah,
a
I know
good
it's not as it's a very I want to say mediocre, very lackluster first, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's
Hey,
number
I wouldn't say
one.
lackluster. I'd say out of left field, maybe.
Yeah,
It is
sure.
really out of left field, but you know what? What makes you like everyone has their movie though, right?
Mhm.
Everybody has their movie.
Yeah, this one's definitely mine. This is it's still number one of all time.
I'll have to check it out one day.
You
Maybe,
really should.
Maybe tomorrow.
I thought you were a
I can
Batman fan.
vouch.
I thought you thought it was for
Well, that's the thing is like I've read like the comics and all this other stuff,
Mhm.
but it's like I don't know. It's like, well, I know the story. Do I need to watch it? I don't know. But like
Mhm.
all the good things you said, I should probably.
See, the
should
problem
check
is
it
now
out.
I overhyped it, so you're gonna think it's gonna be really awesome, and you're gonna be disappointed by it. So now I'm not looking
I
forward
don't
to
think
your
you
reaction.
will be disappointed.
This is worse than Batman and Robin. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's best performance.
All
Yeah.
right.
Oh, he was so desperate for money, man.
I don't believe that. How could he?
No, I don't think so. I think he had a lot of fun.
He had a lot
He
of
hammed
fun.
it up so much.
His first villain role, he was probably like, "Cool, yeah, I'll do it."
I love the Batman.
Oh, one-liners are so
Oh my
good in that.
god. The bad boys have nipples. Yes.
Mhm.
Well, there we go. I guess, and then we move on to my favorite movie of all time for
Uh-huh.
today, anyways.
Mhm.
It has shared something in common with Tyler's favorite movie, and that
Oh.
it has Mickey Rourke in it,
Oh, Jesus.
the wrestler,
Oh,
directed by Darren Aronofsky. It's my favorite movie of all time. I'm a huge fan of professional wrestling, and this shows you like the dark side of wrestling really well, which is what happens to professional wrestlers as they get older and their bodies are like breaking down on them and they're addicted to alcohol or drugs and stuff like that. And the thing is like Mickey Rourke, he's the main character. He's Randy the Ram Robinson, and he's still wrestling to this day, even though like I think in the movie he's in his 50s, maybe even 60s or something like that. And yeah, like he can't move anymore very, very well. He has some substance abuse in the movie. He has a broken relationship with his daughter, and it's like. The thing is like it's like, wow, this guy's life sucks, but it's like it's all too real when you compare it to like a lot of other real professional wrestlers, like Rowdy Piper. He said when he watched this movie, he actually cried because like it was just too real to him. Like,
Right.
and yeah, like it's the thing. It's like I totally recommend even watching it if you're not a fan of wrestling, because the performances are great. It's like it's a sad story. Like eventually he's trying to get out of the wrestling business and just move on with his life. But that's the thing. It's like he doesn't have anything in his life. All he has is wrestling. That's his one true love, and it always comes back. And he eventually has a heart attack in the movie, and basically the doctor's like, he's like, you can't wrestle, you're gonna die. But at the end, he's like, that's what he's meant to. What he's been put on Earth to do, and that's how he's gonna do it. And he doesn't matter to him and stuff like that. And
I can certainly vouch for that, because I'm not a big fan of wrestling. But Scott made me watch this movie, and it was, I felt emotional watching this movie, because you know what it's like when you're really passionate about something. This is all you want to do, and if you can't do it anymore, man, it just kills you, right? You're and he says, I think in the movie too, like when he's in the ring, he's like, this is where I feel safe. I feel safe here. This is where I belong, is in the ring, right? So I thought it was very good too. Amazing performance. Very surprisingly great performance from Mickey.
Like
way out of nowhere. Like, what?
I don't think he won an Oscar, but he got nominated for sure. And then like after that, he was in Iron Man 2, and then and then he was done. But
with the whips,
yeah, fuck
that guy with the whips. That's all I remember.
He wasn't bad in Iron Man 2. It's just Iron Man 2 as a whole just sucked. The bad script and shit. But
but it's bad.
Yeah. For sure. So that's my favorite movie of all time. Highly recommend it. Just an incredible movie. Well, there you go. That's I think gonna do it for this week's podcast. We went to another hour and a half.
Jesus,
I'm like, this one's gonna be short. It's gonna be like an hour out. And then the way we're going, like at the beginning, it's like, we got through our weeks roll so fast. I'm like, oh man, are we gonna even hit an hour? And then Tyler just would not shut up about his movies.
You're talking about my favorite in the world.
His favorites.
I'm holding back, so fuck you guys.
Well, there we go. Well, thank you again for listening this week. And I think I just want to plug our social media stuff. We're on Facebook. If you just search Esteemed Gentleman Podcast, we should come up. And then we're also on Twitter at Esteemed Podcast, I think is what it is. So follow that. And I think what we also want to do, I want to do next week, is start taking maybe some listener questions. So follow us on Facebook, because I'll post our podcast email that you can send us some questions, and hopefully at the end of next week we can do some Q&A.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty fun. Cool.
That'd be a lot of.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you again for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.
Take care, guys.